If you've been keeping up with the whole animated movie sphere, you'd find that there is a surprising amount of removed characters. And usually that's a good thing, and in the case of this video, it was. But I'm going to ignore that fact because I don't want you to see how unnecessary this video was. And while I think Disney made a good move archiving punk rock Isabella, her concept is just so amazing, and I felt the need to create what it would look like in the movie. And to make sure I do a good job, I did a few practice runs, and they turned out great. They generally took around 8 hours each and had a fairly high quality. Keeping that in mind, I want you to guess how long the recorded version took. If you guessed 30 hours, then you'd be absolutely correct. Now, there are plenty of reasons as to why it took so long, and it being better than the practice runs is not one of them. Because it isn't. But I'll get to that in a minute. And you might be wondering, wait, so why not Photoshop or draw the characters in 3 hours rather than 30? Well, my dear viewer, it's because I'm dumb. You know what else is dumb though? The fact that 3 minutes have passed and I haven't yet gotten into the time lapse, so I'm gonna start it now. So here you can see an amazing, very professional time lapse where I'm being cool and using my distinct sculpting style of smoothing, then adding clay strips, before smoothing again, and repeating that until I'm left with a masterpiece. And so far, it's served me well. Until I started making this video, because I was suddenly faced with immense degrees of lag, which is not normal. So I went to Activity Monitor to check. What the fuck? And thus the sculpting session ended prematurely. And I started retopologizing, which, mind you, took 3 hours by itself because of how laggy it was. You know, if only there was a retopologized model of her that I could have shrink wrapped over this one, especially one made for training purposes, my life would have been a lot easier. Anyways, so I did the UV work for her and then proceeded with texturing, which heightened the performance issues by... this much. I do a brushstroke and wait for upwards of 30 minutes for it to register. It was so bad that I became a world-class musical producer in the process. What can I say except you're welcome for the islands I pulled from the sea. There's no need to pray, it's okay, you're welcome. It's just my way of being me.
It's not me, it's lag. Dude, just admit you're bad.
Hi.
Ah! How did you get in here?
Imagine you're a ballet dancer. And as you're dancing, every input has latency, and for some reason your actions are randomly cut midway through. And then you undo, not knowing that the input hasn't registered yet. And as a result, all of the actions are done at once. Not so easy now, is it? Exactly. Anyways, I tried messaging the artist behind the famous reference to try and get a better idea of what in the world the dress is made up of. But she didn't answer, so I had to improvise. And after careful consideration and processing, I deducted that it was one of those body wraps with leaves stuck inside one of the layers. And thus, the process of modeling that started, which was ridiculously painful, but alas, it must be done. Wait, perhaps it was just a normal dress with a normal skirt and a weird necklace. And thus, I was faced with the choice of either restarting the dress or sticking with what I got. And I chose the latter because ain't nobody got time for that. At this point, I was already very much behind on my schedule for this video, so I used a quick low-quality plugin to rig the character. Worst decision ever. The performance was one of the worst I've ever come across, and I use a Mac. I don't think posing a character has ever taken this long, ever. And the problems don't stop there. because sometimes bones would randomly disappear, and undoing does nothing to bring them back, because this stable release is buggier than a terrarium. I fully believe that this was more painful than childbirth, or ejecting a coconut-sized kidney stone or something. Anywho, I did the close separately without using physics modifiers for obvious reasons. And then I came to a sudden realization. I've spent over 30 hours for a non-monetized video that's bound to only get a couple dozen views. And I have to make this worthwhile somehow, and thus, I have launched a Patreon. If you're enjoying this video thus far, this is the best way to support me, and as an incentive, all Patreon tiers will have access to this Isabelle. All Patreon tiers will have access to the Salmonella model, which you are allowed to use freely, so long as you credit me and don't profit off of it or distribute it or something. Anywho, without further ado, the final Isabella model is upon us. All the shenanigans to the side, this video was incredibly fun to make, and solely depending on Blender for it wasn't such a horrible move after all. It's come so far as an app.
You didn't think that way while painting the textures for her. Show them your song.
What?
Show them your song!
Okay, chill.
If you have enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Insane amounts of effort were put into this, and pressing a couple of buttons only takes 2 seconds.
Found it. Every day, I imagine a future where I don't have to use you. In my hand is a poem filled with rage from working with you. I almost cracked my skull to 2 halves. Just disappear, you I don't wanna see.